Funky. Hip hop.
Welcome to KERRIISMS Speaks. I'm your host, KERRIISMS, aka Kerri Olivia, a writer, life coach, and digital creator at KERRIISMS.co. Every week, I share commentary and interviews on the adventures of life from a millennial's point of view. Some adventures may be personal, some may be professional. Either way, I hope you can stay tuned and stay true. Let's go. Hey everyone, it's your girl Kerri Olivia, aka KERRIISMS, and welcome to another episode of KERRIISMS Speaks. I've been working on my consistency muscles so you guys can get as many episodes as possible. This week, I had the opportunity to speak to Tyler Riley. She is a writer, a poet, and a mindfulness coach. Most of all, she's a pure love advocate and light worker. She believes that everyone deserves the freedom and encouragement to fully embrace their authentic selves. We're going to get right into this conversation so you all can enjoy it. Thank you all for listening. Let's go. I'm really happy to talk to you because I've been following you on Twitter for some time, and I really love I love the way that you share your words and your ideas because they resonate with me so much. And it was just an honor to ask you and for you to accept to be on the KERRIISMS Speak. So thank you so much for being a guest.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I mean, like I said, I really enjoy your content as well. So when you asked me, I was like, well, absolutely. Like, I'm right here. I'm all about connecting with people. So thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
And one of the things that I've been wanting to check out is your podcast. It's called the Nude Podcast. And I wanted the listeners to know some more about it and how you started that journey of your show.
Yeah, the kind of premise behind the name Nude is to represent, transparency and vulnerability. So the idea came about in summer 2018 originally, just like I was navigating some different situations. I was in a new city doing an internship. I was entering my last semester of school, and I was just like, okay, I'm feeling kind of clustered. I'm feeling like disconnected. There are some things I need to reflect on. I really need to start thinking about where I'm headed and what I want to do. So I didn't really have an outlet at that time. And the only thing that I knew was to just kind of journal to myself. And I started like physically writing things out, but I talk a lot. So that got overwhelming. I was like, okay, I'm done. Like, I'm going to literally just like record myself. So I took my phone and I started recording voice memos. And it wasn't until I started to listen back to those that I was like, oh, this is actually monumental. Like, this is actually really helpful to listen to how I've grown and changed over time. And I was like, well, what if this information is helpful for other people? So at that particular time, I only shared one of those little audio journal entries with one person. And she was like, this is amazing. Like, this is a gem. Like, you really need to start your own podcast. Podcast? Like, how does that happen? Essentially, it just felt good that people, were interested in what I had to say, were interested in my journey, were accepting of my journey. So it started off as a public diary and evolved into a community. I'm super excited about that.
That's
humble.
beautiful. That is so beautiful. I really love how you've been able to start a community on sharing your thoughts and putting it out there into the world. It's brave and it's very courageous to do that. And then to have people resonate with it on top of that is just extra icing on the cake. So that's beautiful. You spoke about journaling and writing. When did you know that you had a way with words and wanted to pursue writing as a career?
I feel like I'm constantly like receiving confirmation over time. I will say that, but I think it clicked. I mean, at a really young age. I think I was like 7 trying to write books and stuff. So
oh wow, that's amazing.
I knew I had it started with, really realizing how empathetic I am too, because I mean, words are what we start with. Like when our parents begin talking to us as children, as we are children, they talk to us, they speak life into us, right? So I started realizing like how words made me feel and how connected I felt to certain scripts and movies. And, it was just different little inclinations. And I was like, you know what? Like, I love words. I love connection. I love feeling. And so while I wasn't like creative and, I didn't draw, I didn't paint, I was always frustrated about that. I was like, what the heck? I'm not like I was like, I feel this thing about creativity, but I don't know what it is because at that time I didn't think that words were creativity. But
Oh, wow.
I
Okay.
didn't. I didn't. And as I started to kind of hone that craft, like I said, confirmation started to come. Like, yeah, you know how to speak, you know how to connect with
Mm,
people, and that's the bottom line. Like that empathy really comes through words first. So
right.
yeah,
And that's such a great connection because it's how we learn to communicate with each other. And it's so important in you know, in interacting and forming connections. So it's really beautiful that it comes through our words.
I was just gonna say that words also, I mean, they contribute to our thought patterns, right? Like if we hear something, however often we hear it, that determines kind of our thought and what we choose for the day.
Right.
That, I mean, that has been more of a recent realization and just understanding the actual impact. But yeah,
That is so true. Like we don't know because our subconscious is always recording even when we're asleep or awake. So you got to be really careful about the things, yeah, that you say to yourself, that you say to each other because they hold weight. They definitely do. So, you're a writer and a life coach. I wanted to get into what made you become a life coach.
yeah. So I'm actually still like fully in progress of becoming a life coach. I
Mm.
love the manifestation. We're gonna claim it right now. I am a life coach, but
Yes.
there's just a lot that I'm learning. And, like I said from the beginning, I became passionate. I became aware that I'm super passionate about human connection, about people embracing their authentic selves. Like that is my niche, like I really, I mean, and I have experiences where I remember like dimming myself down and just not
Mm,
embracing everything that I am. And I was like, you know what? It's time to kind of change that. And so
right.
as navigating my own journey of embracing all that I am, I found that I'm really, really passionate about making sure others experience the same liberation.
Mm,
So that's why life coaching is something that I feel like I should pursue. It's going to be part of this path because I have so much love to give and empowerment to give, and I'm like, you know what? Let's do that on a one-on-one basis, or just in a more intimate setting because
right.
people need love, people need empowerment. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying?
Something about that one-on-one experience. There's something magical that happens when you're one-on-one and you can really connect with someone just like person to person. When did self-care become an important factor in your life and why?
Like self care has been important forever, but
Yes.
self care is crucial.
Right.
Like
Right.
it's not an
So
option.
right about that. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm always like hard on myself actually
Mm,
about anything that I do. I overthink everything when it comes. Like I remember just trying to make a like 5-minute video for my Instagram, and I was paying attention to like everything that no one would probably notice or pay attention to, right?
mm,
So it took me over 100 takes to make a 5-minute video, right?
mm,
And I was just like, this is not okay. Like this overthinking, this, judgment of self is not okay.
mm,
And that's the biggest like struggle for me because it is a hurdle as far as any collaborations, any creativity, just that kind of self-doubt, right?
mm,
Or that just deep analyzation of like yourself and everything that you're trying to do, it can get in the way.
mm,
So I just was like, all right, cool. Like the only way that I'm gonna get over this is if I, kind of retrain my brain to understand that everything that I contribute is enough, right?
mm,
The way that I do that is through self-care, right? So allowing myself to experience those childlike joyful moments, allowing
mm.
myself to rest and to pause on productivity because that's crucial as well, allowing myself to just kind of explore connections and not be so hard on myself about that either. So
Right.
yeah, self-care I feel like it's always been important. I would say, to be like fully transparent, like right now is the time where I'm realizing that self-care is not an option, it's an obligation to myself, it's an honor to myself.
Yes, it's just that is so powerful and it can definitely get in the way sometimes. Do you see it more as a con or a pro in being like deeply analytical?
I think it's both.
Mm,
I think it probably has like a time and place, right?
mm,
Like I feel like it's very appropriate to be deeply analytical sometimes, but if it's to the point where it's debilitating, or if it's to the point where it's literally, stopping you from creating or doing whatever, it could be about anything. If it's
mm,
getting in the way of your day to day activities or productivity overall, it's not really worth it, especially because I understand that as humans, we're always in our own head, right? That's all we know. We are with
Mm.
ourselves all day, every day. So
Mm.
we're picking ourselves apart,
Right.
truthfully.
Right.
So
Right.
it's just in those moments where I realize, okay, like thinking this hard about this thing that I think is an issue is really not helpful. So
Hmm.
just take some time to step back and notice, like, all right, should I be going all in thinking about this or not? And sometimes
Right.
it's appropriate. Like I do get it, especially as a creative who, this is our vulnerable expression coming out. I mean, people can
Mm.
respond to that anyway. So it's easy to be analytical about it. But at the end of the day, somebody needs you, so put it out.
Right. And isn't it ironic that like in the creativity we are analytical, like those two sides, and you kind of need both of those sides to
Mhm.
put out the whole work. So like you said, definitely a time and place. Definitely a time and place for the way that we move, definitely in the creative space. How does self-care help you to be a better life coach and writer?
Self care is literally, it's like getting gas. Like
Mhm.
it's a refuel. It's a rejuvenation. It's a process of doing things that I enjoy. It's a process of doing things that make me feel liberated and special. It's a process of doing things that make me feel affirmed, present.
Mm.
So self care is something that really propels me, right? Like if I take the time to like center myself or ground myself and just, realize what I need for the day, that helps me give so much more to other people or to my content. It literally allows me to be able to connect more.
Mhm.
So I feel like if I didn't do self care, I would be probably grumpy or like not as ready to just share as much as I do.
Right.
And as far as like specifically it helping me in my efforts of being a life coach, I think it also gives me some perspective to offer because again, a lot of us are in our own heads. We are on. I mean, American culture is work, 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 work,
Mhm.
right? Just kind of being that reminder, like, hold on, like you do deserve rest. You do deserve to be cared for. You do deserve peaceful moments, right?
Mhm.
I think that's helpful because I serve as a reminder for people like, nah, you can do your great things, but you can also take care of yourself too. And in fact, I think you have to take care of yourself in order to do the great things, right?
Right. Right. Balance is so important, because you can't really have one without the other. And resting is so important to recharge and get those batteries going again, so you can be your best self in whatever you plan to do. So yeah.
And as a writer, I mean, the self care as a writer helps because I also write poetry. So
Mm.
like, I also write poetry, so it helps for that. It helps me really, create time and space to experience all of my emotions too. Like self
Mm.
care doesn't just have to be the like on paper baths and like the laugh.
No.
Like
Yeah.
self care is it can also be some interesting work. So it really just allows me, like I said, to reflect more, to give more from a
Mm.
more pure place, and I think that just really speaks through all of my work.
That's a powerful thing that you touched on, because I feel like when we say self care, it comes to the surface level of self care. When it comes to, I'm going to get my nails done, I'm going to go to the spa, I'm going to get a facial, I'm going to get a massage. But self care is really caring for who Tyler is and who Kerri is. And like you said, so beautifully honoring who Tyler is, and that comes with the thoughts that you choose to think or give attention to. It comes to the way you choose to show up in the world, the way you choose to be authentic in your spaces, in your personal spaces, in your creative spaces, is so much more than getting your nails done. Getting your nails done is like icing on the cake. It's a
Yeah.
bonus. But if you're not tending to your heart, if you're not tending to your mind, if you're not tending to your body, just like, loving on yourself in whatever, however your body shows up, you know, I mean, you can get your nails done, but I mean, it's not gonna do much.
Sure. I mean,
So
some self care is breaking bad habits or, talking to
right.
people who are unhealthy for you. Self care can be anything, but I love what you said about surface level because nails and hair and all that stuff is totally amazing. It's nice.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
like if you do that and then you're still feeling a source of like discomfort, well,
Mhm.
there's something you're not taking care of. And
Mhm.
it's to address that too, however you feel comfortable addressing it. Right. So
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Need some work. It's all good though.
Yeah, it is. So, what is your favorite way to spend a day?
Yeah, I'm gonna say nature walks number one. I love taking little hikes. I'm in Texas, so there's actually a lot of space and good weather. That's a lot of fun. I also really love dancing. I don't do a lot of dancing like in front of other people. I mean, if I got a little wine in me, maybe, but
Right.
I don't do a lot of dancing in front of other people. But I
Mm,
just literally like a child. I just kind of like throw my body around and allow like my energy to just kind of flow through that way.
yeah.
It's very freeing. It's very freeing. I love that. That's part of my like morning routine. So in the morning, I'll either do a nature walk or some sort of stretching meditation.
Mm,
Um, and I'll do some dancing just to like make sure I feel all of my full body. It's important for me to feel my entire body and its movement.
mm,
Um, that's important to me. I love being creative. I love doing research about, the field that I'm in, mindfulness, spirituality, the brain.
mm.
I probably should have actually studied psychology or something, but I did not. Yeah, so I'm gonna say just movement, nature, being creative, learning, some sort of like, yeah, some sort of like intuitive thing.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
it kind of
That's
flows.
beautiful. Yeah, yeah. And it's all connected in some way, you know? So it's just like one on top of the other, and it just like it helps you blossom even more and helps you to do what you need to do throughout the day.
For
Yeah.
sure. People are actually like surprised that I'm like a homebody that doesn't like to do like too much of like the kicking it, like the typical.
Yeah. Yeah.
But those nature walks and the dance sessions really help me. So I think
Yeah.
it's all
Yeah. I'm a fan of twirling, just twirling around the house. So
yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
It's very freeing.
It might not even be super noticeable, but that's a way to just like move any stuck energy through the body as well.
Right. Right.
When we hold on to stress and things like that, I ain't gonna go on a whole preaching session about it, but there's trauma and stress that's stored in the body, so there's a lot of work that can be done to remove that, including dance
Mm, mm.
sessions.
Right. And I think, with massages and stuff, that's probably why that helps when you hit certain points. It's probably like
Mhm.
energy that's stored in certain places and it gets balled up. Yeah. Now that you think of it, I'm not a masseuse or anything like that for anyone listening. So, but it's just a thought. I'm just like, maybe that is somehow interconnected in some way. Of the self care practices that you shared, what are your favorites?
Number one favorite, I'm gonna say dancing because I literally do
Yeah.
that every day.
Mm,
Every single day. If I can't go on a walk, I'm definitely dancing. And it's just I love music. I mean,
mm,
I don't know if that's just like it definitely has to be like an empathy thing because sound. I also am like an advocate for sound therapy. That does a lot. So
mm.
just the melodies of it makes me feel present. It makes me feel like I don't know. There's just of course depending on what you're listening to, but
Right, right.
it's so good. So yeah, dancing, just making sure that I move my body. I feel that I'm here and I can do
Mm,
these like that. That's a powerful moment for me. So that's my favorite over.
mm. I love that you said that I can feel that I'm here. That is
Yeah,
so powerful. Wow. Yes, I love that. It's so important to be in the moment and to be present in the moment. So I love that you touched on that. What are some of the benefits and challenges of being a writer?
well, benefits are that I would say I can always make people feel something. And I feel like
Mm,
that's what I was placed here to do. I can always kind of give something a little more tangible for people to connect to.
mhm,
Especially because before I didn't think that words were, monumental. I didn't think they had any impact. But now that I see that they do, it feels good to be able to make a positive impact in the way that I would like to. I would say the downside is not always knowing where I'm going with writing, like,
mm.
or just being super critical of it before people can even read it, or
Right.
however they receive it. Sometimes I'm critical beforehand, and that results in me like taking something down or like, not even putting something out or just overthinking it. So I think it's really just, being, I guess, concerned with people receiving my words the way that I would like them to. There definitely is still a thought process around that too. So
Mm,
it
mm.
could be a lot, but
Yeah. Like you
work
said,
with
it's a journey. It's definitely a journey. Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
it's also just like to be very transparent, there are a lot of writers in the world. There are a lot of podcasters, right? So you're like, okay, how do I sound like me? But how do I make sure I'm connecting with these people so that they know that like
Right.
I'm here for them. This is what this is. How do you
Mm.
stand out still when there are so many people in this industry, in this realm? How do you want to refer to it?
Mm. Yeah, that's so true. Like making your place known in terms of just like standing in who you are and letting your individuality and your authenticity show. Yeah.
Absolutely.
What are some of the benefits and challenges of being a life coach?
I'm gonna say my challenges right now are honestly building clientele because
Mm.
I do. Thankfully, I have a lot of gifts that I'm willing to share, that I'm open to share, that I'm learning about. But it's just like, okay, like there's another part of that. Like, how do you build clientele? How do you keep clientele? How do you properly
Mm.
clientele? Like, what do you know? How do you do this? There are so many other pieces to the process other than just creating the art itself or creating the connection itself.
Right.
There are a lot of moving parts. So I'm gonna say that because right now I'm still in the beginning stages and I'm trying to figure out, how to really, like I said, stand out.
Mm.
The benefits are honestly, honestly, I feel like just the way that I've connected with people in the past, I do have a good like general reputation. So
Mhm.
like there is like a positive kind of word of mouth thing that's happening, which I'm super grateful for. It makes it a little easier when there's kind of already a little bit of good rapport established.
Mhm.
And I mean, I took that to honestly just remaining true to myself. So not really related to the life coach path in itself, but I'm very grateful for just my own divine guidance to just stay true to where I am, to who I am, to what I want to be,
Mm.
received in this world, because that really, like I said, builds that good rapport and trustworthiness of like, oh no, she's gonna give you the real because she is real. She is her authentic self at all times.
Yeah, definitely showing up, just showing up as who you are. It's so important. Yeah. So how does the experience of being a life coach differ from being a writer to you? Do you have to put on different hats or is it kind of a blended experience?
Yeah, I would say it's more so a blended experience because I mean, words, whether I write them down first or I speak them first, they're still being formulated. There's still a process here. There's still a planning period,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
So I would say the difference is really just the outlet. The process is the same. What do I feel? Who do I want to reach? How do I want to connect to them? You
Mm.
know, what are the different ways in which I can connect with them? But it's really just how it comes out, how it's executed that's different. So yeah, I feel like the general process is still the same. I still don't know like fully where I'm going. So, super thankful and super excited. But it's like I said, it's a flow and it feels good to have something to offer,
Right.
honestly.
Right. How do you balance being both? You can walk me through your routine and how you if do you have set days that you're doing writing, that you're coaching? How does it work for you?
Yeah, so I do a lot. I would say I'm still struggling to balance right now. One of my goals within the next couple of weeks actually is to develop like a full planning calendar, like a visual that I can see, so that I know
Mm.
where I'm gonna be at, with who, when, and what's going on.
Right. Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm a visual learner. Okay, I need to receive it visually. But yeah, as of right now, I do poetry, so I'm working on like a poetry EP that is not on a calendar or anything, but it's totally
Mm.
separate from like anything else, right?
Right.
But like for example, my Instagram at Ty the Wordsmith is just kind of motivational posts basically. Like
Mm.
it's not even necessarily to reel in clients. It's more so just like you need to know what I'm about. So like here's some of the stuff that I believe in. Here
Right.
are my values because I think it's important to like put that out there so that the people you're looking for can just naturally gravitate towards you because they already know what you're about. There's no
Mm.
so I really use my Instagram to just kind of build awareness with people. So
Mm.
I'm working on a poetry EP. I use my Instagram for awareness. Life coaching right now has not hit a full like it hasn't accelerated because I am not done with my training and everything. So I'm actually finishing up a course currently, and hopefully that'll be done within the next couple months. But it's
Mm.
been hard okay, just kind of balance everything, and then I'll start to reel in some clients. Hopefully by this summer, we'll see. But yeah, I know I'm like everywhere with this question, but I feel like it's just I'm in the process of learning how to balance everything.
Okay.
I think the calendar will help for sure, but yeah, it's kind of a lot going on right now.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
also, like you said, I have my own podcast and I'm doing that as well. That I feel like has kind of spoken for itself in a way. Like when people listen to my podcast and they're like, oh, like it makes sense that she would also do life coaching. So it kind of connects naturally with
Yeah.
I know you understand, but just as a creative person putting your stuff out there or trying to get clients, just promoting, it can be a lot. Number one, it's scary,
Yes.
it's a lot to it, and people don't realize that. So the smallest little piece of support means the world, honestly.
So important. Yeah. It really does. It really does. What advice do you have for anyone who is using self-care as a part of their creative or business journey?
Um, hmm, okay. Self-care is crucial. Let me start with that. I said it earlier, but like I cannot emphasize enough because I mean, especially I don't know if we have any creatives who are also balancing a 9 to 5, but like that's a lot. So,
That is a lot.
also like life in general is just hard for us all right now for many reasons. There's a lot
Right.
happening. So, but even before this, self care gives you an opportunity to treat yourself as a friend. A lot of times we look outside of ourselves for friendship or validation or love or care, but we can provide that to ourselves, right? We can pull ourselves out of anything, but I ain't gonna preach about it. But self care is crucial. So I would say that. And then I would also say that, like, be patient on your self care journey too, because if we're trying to balance multiple things, multiple projects, multiple relationships at once, like it might be difficult to just have that time to sit down and, decompress and do what you need to do for you. But being mad at yourself over that is also not helpful, right? So
Right.
in a moment, and sometimes it starts with just gentle reminders. Like I literally have to set a reminder in the morning, like meditation,
Yeah.
and it seems cheesy at first. It was like, why do I have to remind myself for this? But we're always on go. We're always going full speed. So it's just like take a breather, and be patient with yourself in those moments where you feel like you can't do what you need for you. And last little piece is like nobody is gonna take care of you like you. It is not really possible, in my opinion, for one person or multiple people to give you everything that you're looking for because a lot of what you're looking for lives within you, right? So if you take the time, if you're deliberate about, okay, let me look inside, let me see what I need to do to feel better in this moment. You get a chance to ask, okay, why does this make me feel good? Well, why does that make me feel bad? And you just kind of adjust and take care of self, and now you're fulfilled in ways you didn't think you could be fulfilled by other people because you took time to invest in you. So I think it's important. I mean, there's nobody like you, so you got to take care of you.
Right. And it also helps you to show up more fully for others.
Dude, yes. Oh my gosh, I cannot tell you how many times I've been depleted myself, and I've still, given so much to
Right.
someone. It's like we're gonna have to kind of fix that because I still want to be able to show up, but it's hard to do that when you're not able to take care of you first.
Right. And it can inspire someone to also learn how to do that for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Ooh, the best piece of advice I have ever received. I'm gonna say the best piece of advice. I'm gonna say within the past year, 2020. And I don't know if this video was recorded in 2020, but it's actually on my Instagram, and it's from Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace, rest in power.
Yes,
It's from
indeed.
Kobe Bryant. He was literally just talking about, being still, right? He's talking about allowing yourself to kind of observe emotions. And I mean, I've heard the same message from many like self-care gurus, right? Wellness, meditation teachers. I've heard it so many times, but for some reason, like when Kobe said it, it hit different.
It just, yeah.
It's different. And he was really just, I don't even think it was technically advice. He was really just reflecting on his experience with, observing his emotions. And he was just talking about how, sometimes we allow those particular emotions to overpower us and they, it can stop us from making decisions. It could, really overwhelm us and ruin our days and things like that. He's like, if you take the time to just like be still and observe, and I feel like that was my overall kind of lesson for 2020. So it just felt like in alignment. And for some reason, like I said, when he expressed that, it just hit different. So I think taking the time to be still, because it's a state of observation, right? It's a state of awareness. So not that you're detached from feeling anything, you're just able to observe those feelings and understand the root of them, or figure out how to better, more clearly navigate them, right? So that's kind of what landed for me all of 2020. I kind of, it was funny because I kept doing stuff, like I kept being active on social media, I kept being like putting out content, but taking some extra time outside of that time to be still was monumental. It brought a lot of clarity to me over the past year.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. What is the most rewarding thing self-love has taught you so far?
Ooh, it's still teaching me, but I'm gonna go with it's gonna sound cliche and very simple, and I know that it's not, so I'm gonna give you some extra context. But basically, that we have everything we need. I kind of alluded to this earlier, but I spent a lot of time looking outside of myself for acceptance and love, right? Sometimes I still do because I haven't broken certain habits, and I'm working through that, and I'm excited about it. But that comforting statement of you have everything you need, even if I didn't feel like I had it in that moment, it was a kind of a point of redirection. Like, okay, you're constantly looking for this outcome, you're constantly looking for this approval. I'm gonna need you to take some time to approve yourself. I'm gonna need you to take some time to pour into you. I think that's the most rewarding thing, because even again, if I don't currently have a space where I'm feeling loved or I'm feeling enough, that reminder, that pivot is so crucial, because I stop attaching my value to this outcome or this person, and I instantly am redirected into looking into myself and, well, how can I make myself feel more loved in this moment? Like, forget, even if I don't have the answer to that issue or whatever, it's like, okay, let's leave that where it's at for a minute. And see how you can get what you need from you right now. And that, it's incredibly rewarding, because even though I'm not at the finish line, it has built such a trusting relationship with myself. It's built I'm more comfortable with myself now than ever before. So, it flows, and I love it. I love it so much.
That's beautiful, Tyler. It's so beautiful. Yes. Yeah. That's such a crucial moment also in your self-care too, in learning that it's so simple. Like, everything that you needed, everything, the person that you were always looking for was you, and that's, emotions.
It's a hard experience when you're looking for confirmation outside of yourself, because you can't guarantee that you'll get it.
Right.
You cannot control that. So
No.
releasing that control and giving power back to yourself,
Right.
because you have the ability to give yourself love, is extremely powerful and rewarding itself. So I'm an advocate for that. That's not to say that like we don't need people. We're social beings. We definitely need people.
Yeah.
But needing people to the point of confirming our existence, confirming our experience, absolutely not.
No, I definitely agree with that. We are interconnected, so we strive on connection and love and things like that. So it's so important to have those things, and it can be validating at times, but you have to be the source first. You have to get in touch with yourself first, and that was one of the hardest lessons that I had to learn, but also such a reaffirming one with every step that you take. And I love that you say we are still on this journey. We're still learning, but that's a really good tool to take with us, that we are everything that we need. Thank you so much for sharing that. What is your personal definition of self-care and self-love?
Self-care and self-love, I'm gonna put them in the same, because I feel like they're the same. You're giving yourself love when you're giving yourself the care that you need, the care that you understand. And I think that's really the definition. If I back up, I think giving yourself care that you understand is self-care and self-love, right? So, dancing around like a child might not be self-care for someone else, but, painting for 6 hours might be their self-care, right? Like, it's really just about taking the time to get to know you, to realize what it is that you need, and giving that without any hesitation, giving that without any explanation to anyone else, right? Because you don't owe them that. You owe people like common decency and courtesy and compassion, of course, but you don't owe anyone an explanation for being happy or taking care of you. And so like, just whatever it is that brings you joy, that brings your inner child out, free to play, free to embrace themselves, then that's self-care. That's that self-love for sure.
Yes, yes. That is so powerful. Sometimes it can be one and the same in terms of like the more that you care for yourself and the more that you prioritize yourself, the more that you start to like yourself. And then the more you start to like yourself, the more you start to love yourself. And then and it's a beautiful cycle that goes and it blossoms and grows over and over until, until we learn more. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
And it's such a beautiful process because as you alluded to earlier, like the more we pour into ourselves, the more we can pour into each other. And that's what we're here for. Like
Yes.
that is what I'm looking for. I'm like, take
Right.
care of yourself so we can take care of each other, please. Like
Right, right. And I used to have it so warped before where I used to think, I was like, I'd rather abandon myself to make sure that someone is cared for. And I was like, what, what a, that is not the way to go.
yeah.
And it's coming from a place of love, but it's coming from a place also of like self, like self abandonment and betrayal and rejection. And you have to get into this place where you become your own intimate friend. Like you become the person that you
Right.
date. You become your own intimate friend. You become the person that you date. Like as much as when we get into these situations and we want to get to know somebody or we want, for whatever reason, for a means of connection, we also got to be doing that with ourselves just as much as we're doing that with other people. So it'll be easier to pick up on what to do when we're doing that with other people. We are everything that we need. Where can we find you? Where can we find you on social media?
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram and or Twitter at Ty the Wordsmith. That's just TYTHEWORDSMITH. Ty the Wordsmith. I would love to have some more soul family join me. I would love to support you. You already know, like I'm here for this.
Oh, you and I are right here. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And I just really appreciate the space and you're doing great. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being a guest on KERRIISMS Speaks, Tyler.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tyler, for this opportunity to speak with you. There were so many great things that I learned from this conversation and will continue to carry with me in my own self-love journey. And I also hope for the listeners who are listening to this week's podcast, especially the points about self-validation and self-love and self-care, just making sure that your validation comes from yourself first so that you know that you are everything that you need. Everything that you need is within you. The answers that you are seeking for, they're coming from you first. So if you find yourself looking outside of yourself for approval, for acceptance, for any of those things come from you first, and then you have relationships with people who reflect that back to you because they're doing that in their own self-love journey. That was such a really powerful point in this conversation. And I really wanted to highlight that, and also making sure that you take care of yourselves in whatever way feels right to you, feels true to you, making sure that you are taking care of yourself so you can build that intimate relationship with yourself and have that security from the inside out. So thank you so much, Tyler. I'm really grateful. If you would like to connect with Tyler or follow her on her social media, you can find her at Ty the Wordsmith on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And you can also subscribe to her podcast, the Nude Podcast, on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, wherever podcasts are streamed. And you can also follow her podcast on Instagram and Twitter. If you would like to connect with me, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at KERRIISMS. It's going to be KERRIISMS. And yeah, you can follow me there. When you connect with Tyler, make sure that you let her know that you found out about her through the KERRIISMS Speaks podcast. This has been your KERRIISMS coming to you live, reminding you to stay tuned and to stay true. Goodbye. Thank you all for tuning in. I am truly grateful for every single one of you. Please remember to subscribe to this podcast, rate it, and leave a review. Any feedback you have would be greatly appreciated. You can also contact me directly at KERRIISMS.co. That's KERRIISMS.co. This has been your KERRIISMS coming to you live, reminding you to stay tuned and to stay true, my beautiful crew. Over and out.